History of Scarborough, England. The town of Scarborough is far older than anyone from the New World can even fathom. Britain's earliest surviving house was located by archaeologists just outside of Scarborough, known as Star Car. It contains Britain's earliest evidence of carpentry, and it dates somewhere between 9200 and 8500 BCE, when Britain was still physically attached to the mainland of Europe. Millennia later, the Romans inhabited Scarborough and left evidence of their works everywhere. Aqueducts, military roads, and even the remains of a Roman signal station on Castle Hill all date from the 4th century. The Romans brought new vegetables, such as carrots and turnips, iron plowshares, wheeled plows, a coin-based economy, lavatories, aqueducts, and even underground sewers, central heating, hot water baths, and artistic elements such as mosaic floors, stone walls, and tiled roofs. When the Romans left, we endured 6 centuries of sea-borne conquerors. First, incursions of barbarians and Caledonians broke down walls and wasted much of northern Britain. In our despair, we asked the help of the Saxon mercenaries in the mid-6th century. Sure, the Saxons did a fantastic job of driving out the barbarians. But then they decided they liked it here, and they started driving out the Britons as well.
Rude.
Absolutely despicable. I love it. Are they taking applications? Sorry. Yorkshire was a Scandinavian kingdom for a century. Then swarms from the Baltic joined in. The country was subdivided, like a drunken town council meeting or so, I'm told. Somewhere in that mess, King Arthur, so to speak, came onto the scene to patch the country back together, or at least the actual warrior behind that legend tried to unite us against the invaders. The actual name of Scarborough may originate from this approximate time of disarray. The earliest written name, for those of you lovely peasants that can actually read, was Scarborough, from the Saxon words sker, meaning rock, and berg, a fortified place. And this might mean that Scarborough is a Saxon town built upon a Roman foundation. However, an Icelandic tale tells of 2 Viking brothers named Thorgil and Cormac, who established a fort called Scarborough in 966. The fort was named after Thorgil, whose nickname was Skardi, meaning hare-lipped. Terribly mean-spirited, I love it. In my personal imaginings, I think both stories may be true somehow. I can fully imagine that the 2 brothers, Thorgil and Cormac, came upon an existing village named Scarborough, and that Cormac then deviled his brother by saying something like, "Ha ha ha, Thorgil, they named a whole town after thee! Ha ha, Hare-Lip Town." Oh, that reminds me of my brother Gabriel, may he burn. In 1085, William I, also called William the Conqueror, big fan personally, commissioned a huge survey, the most complete record of its time to survive until today. It is called the Domesday Book. It recorded how society was ordered, even down to what people ate. Sadly, Scarborough was not mentioned in the Domesday Book. And that's because of our very oft-used term, "and then the Vikings invaded." Yes, in 1066, a Norwegian king that had spent many years as a mercenary, Harald Hardrada Sigurdsson, heard many stories of the old Viking invasions of Britain, and he set his own sights on our shores. With 300 ships and 9,000 men, King Harold was o'ertaking York. Scarborough proved the first large obstacle. The people of Scarborough came out to fight the invaders, but quickly retreated back to their fortifications. King Harold then used the hills outside of Scarborough to his advantage, lighting a pile of firewood and using it to set the village ablaze. Sorry. That's so cool. Harold then looted what remained of the charred town and allegedly killed any survivors that were found. Nevertheless, the Anglo-Saxons would have their revenge. Within days, King Harald Hardrada was killed in battle. Of course, we rebuilt, but not quite in time for the Doomsday Book. Scarborough's original fair charter was granted by Henry III in 1253. It opened annually on the feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, August 15th, and closed 45 days later on the feast of Saint Michael, September 29th. Visitors from all o'er England and even further afield would arrive and set up their tents on Merchant's Row and Palace Hill in the southeast side of town. The fair itself would open with town officials giving speeches, the ringing of a bell, and then the entry of bands of musicians, jesters in colourful garb, and a grand procession of buyers, visitors, and pleasure seekers. Town criers welcomed all to the fair. Well, all that could pay the toll. A toll was collected at the gates of the town based on the number of horses or vehicles the trader brought with him. The opening ceremony itself began with a poem. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to read a poem. Do I look like a performer to you?
Look, I went to the trouble of writing it down. That was to say it.
Don't write. That's fine. Lords, gentlemen, and loons, you are welcome to our tunes until St. Michaelmas Day, but tolls and customs pay. Taken notice, Maverick one, this fair be kept till set of sun. No sort of food I ready ye sell, but what will fit the body well. No sorts of goods I ready ye vend, unless their worth ye first commend. And also all be found to please on pain of stocks and a little ease, and buyers all that common here, the wanted dues and tolls shall clear. Now may you sport and play, I wis, and all things do, but not amiss. So quick your booths and tents prepare, and welcome strangers to the fair. God save the king and the worshipped bailiffs. They really did abandon the rhyme scheme at the end. Did they actually have a real poet work on this, or was this just sort of thrown together?
I think the king just added the nonsense at the end.
Go figure. Sadly, another fair opened in Sema in 1383. And that is what eventually killed our little fair in 1788.
No, that must at least be sad about that. It was awful.
Yes, of course. Sorrows, prayers. Is that better? Is that what you want?
That's exactly what I want.